Microsoft tried to erase a 9-letter word from the internet, a mocking portmanteau that users coined to express frustration with the company's software. And in trying to kill that word, Microsoft made it famous. There is a bigger story here about corporate overreach, product trust, and the internet culture, and we are going to get into all of it in this video. Over the past 2 years, Microsoft has been on an aggressive campaign to inject artificial intelligence into virtually every product it makes. Windows 11, Microsoft Office, the Edge browser, Paint, Notepad, even the humble Windows taskbar. The vehicle for all of this has been a product called Copilot, Microsoft's AI assistant, which is powered by large language models from OpenAI. In theory, none of that is inherently bad. AI tools, when they work well and when users actually want them, can genuinely improve productivity. The problem was not the existence of AI, the problem was how Microsoft rolled it out. Starting in 2024 and accelerating through 2025, Microsoft began placing Copilot buttons, Copilot panels, and Copilot integrations across almost every surface of Windows 11 and its suite of Office applications, whether users asked for it or not. In Notepad, in Paint, in File Explorer, on the taskbar. If you bought a new laptop with Windows 11, there was a dedicated physical Copilot key on the keyboard. At its developer conference in late 2025, Windows President Pavan Davuluri announced publicly that Windows would evolve into what he called an agentic OS, meaning an operating system that uses AI agents to perform tasks autonomously on your behalf. That announcement generated thousands of responses online, and the overwhelming majority of them were negative. Not curious, not excited, angry. Users who had been using Windows for years were watching their operating system become something they no longer recognized. Update after update seemed focused on cramming more AI into the interface rather than fixing the bugs, performance issues, and stability problems that had been piling up for months. Windows Central, one of the most respected publications in the Windows ecosystem, published a piece using the word "enshittify" to describe Microsoft's approach. That is how frustrated even the sympathetic press had become. Then there was Windows Recall. This was a feature Microsoft announced in 2024 as a flagship capability for a new class of Copilot plus PCs. The idea was that Recall would take periodic screenshots of everything you did on your computer and use AI to make all of it searchable. You could theoretically type a phrase and find that document you opened 3 months ago, or the website you visited last week. Security researchers tore it apart almost immediately. They demonstrated that the data Recall collected was being stored in a poorly protected local database, one that could be accessed by malware or, potentially, by anyone with physical access to your machine. The backlash was so severe that Microsoft was forced to pull the feature and delay it by an entire year while it went back to the drawing board. And that was the atmosphere heading into late 2025 and early 2026. A user base that felt lectured at, ignored, and burdened with features they never wanted. Then, in December 2025, Merriam-Webster announced its word of the year, slop. Not as a compliment. The dictionary defined it in the context of the flood of low-quality, generic, error-prone content being produced by AI systems and passed off as genuine work. The word captured a sentiment that had been building across the internet, that AI, in many of its current implementations, was producing output that was technically coherent but fundamentally mediocre. Content without care. Output without craft. Someone on the internet put two things together. Microsoft, slop, and Microslop was born. It spread fast. Reddit, X, Discord, tech forums was exactly the kind of compressed, cutting criticism that internet culture specializes in. A word that captured volumes of frustration in 9 letters. An independent developer even published a free browser extension for Chrome and Edge that replaced every instance of the word Microsoft with Microslop on any web page the user visited. Purely visual, purely for the user's own screen. But tens of thousands of people installed it. That extension tells you something important. People did not just find the nickname funny, they found it accurate. They were using it as a daily reminder of how they felt about the company. By late February 2026, the word had migrated from social media commentary into Microsoft's own community spaces. Users began posting it on the official Discord server for Copilot, a server Microsoft itself operated as a direct channel to its most engaged AI users. Initially, the posts appeared in off-topic channels, jokes, expressions of frustration, the sort of thing any large tech community will inevitably produce. But as the term gained momentum, it started appearing in general channels, support threads, and bug reporting channels as well. Within a compressed span of time, reportedly about 48 hours, the volume of messages containing variations of Microslop had climbed into the tens of thousands. Microsoft's moderation team responded with what seemed, from the outside, like a straightforward decision: add the word to the server's automated filter list. Any message containing Microslop would be silently blocked before it could appear in the chat. No notification to the user, no explanation. Just quiet suppression. Here is what happened next, and it is worth walking through step by step because each stage made things worse. Step 1. Users noticed almost immediately that their messages were disappearing. Anyone who has spent time in online communities knows that silent message filtering is one of the first things people test when they suspect moderation. Within hours, users had confirmed the block and began publishing workarounds. On Microslop 0p, substituting a 0 for the letter O sailed right past the filter. CR0SL0p worked too. Variations piled up. The filter had given the community a game to play, and they played it enthusiastically. Step 2. As creative variations flooded the channels, moderation escalated. Accounts were banned, the filter rules were tightened. But a keyword filter is a blunt instrument. It can catch an exact string, but it cannot keep pace with a determined community inventing new spellings in real time. Every new filter rule became a public puzzle to be solved. Step 3. The volume of messages became so overwhelming that Microsoft made a decision that drew more attention than anything else in this entire episode. On March 1st, 2026, the company locked down the entire Copilot Discord server. 2 days of message history. Conversations from late February were hidden from view. The server went dark. When Microsoft issued a statement, a spokesperson described the situation as a spam attack, saying the server had been targeted by spammers attempting to disrupt and overwhelm the space with harmful content not related to Copilot. The statement also said that blocking Microslop and similar terms was a temporary measure while the company strengthened its moderation infrastructure. That explanation landed poorly. The reason is simple: the people posting Microslop on that Discord server were, by definition, users who had sought out Microsoft's official Copilot community. These were not random trolls who had stumbled in from elsewhere. These were people who cared enough about Copilot to join its dedicated server. Dismissing their frustration as a spam attack felt, to many observers, like a company trying to reframe dissent as disorder. A few days later, under significant public pressure, Microsoft reversed the word ban. Microslop was unblocked as of March 2nd, 2026. But by that point, it did not matter. The damage was done, not by the word, but by the attempt to erase it. What happened next has a name. It is called the Streisand effect, and it is one of the most well-documented phenomena in internet culture. The name comes from an incident in 2003. A photographer named Kenneth Adelman was documenting California's coastline for an environmental database. One of his photographs captured Barbara Streisand's clifftop home in Malibu. She filed a lawsuit demanding the photo be removed, citing privacy concerns. Before the lawsuit, that particular photograph had been downloaded a handful of times from the archive, reportedly 6 times in total, 2 of which were by her own legal team. After the lawsuit became public, it was viewed by hundreds of thousands of people within a month. The legal action intended to suppress one image had made it one of the most viewed photographs on the early internet. The principle generalizes. When a powerful entity attempts to erase something, a word, a photograph, a piece of information, the act of suppression becomes the story. It signals that the thing being suppressed is worth finding. It confirms to the audience that the powerful party considers the content threatening. And in the digital age, where information replicates instantly and spreads across platforms that no single company controls, the math is completely one-sided. Microsoft's attempt to block Microslop on one Discord server did not reduce the word's visibility. It multiplied it. Every outlet that covered the story, and many covered it, now had a reason to explain what Microslop meant, where it came from, why users were using it, and what it represented about Microsoft's relationship with its customer base. The story of the censorship attempt was a far more compelling news hook than the original nickname ever would have been on its own. On Reddit, one user summarized it with characteristic efficiency. Microsoft just ensured Microslop will be the default term for the next decade. Well played. Another observed, the only thing more effective at spreading a meme than trying to ban it is trying to ban it. There's also an important factual nuance worth addressing here. In the immediate aftermath of the Discord lockdown, some reporting and social media posts claimed that Microsoft had extended the Microslop filter beyond the Discord server into the Microsoft Store's review system, suggesting that the company was suppressing the term across its entire platform. That claim was subsequently investigated and debunked. Reporting from Windows Forum and Windows Report found no evidence that the Microsoft Store's review system was subject to the same filter. The suppression was real, but it was limited to the Discord server. The story of platform-wide censorship was a mischaracterization, and it is worth being clear about that distinction. What was real, however, was significant enough on its own. A company with the resources and technical sophistication of Microsoft had deployed automated keyword filtering on its own community server to silence criticism, then locked the server and hidden message history when that filtering failed, and then tried to frame the whole thing as a spam incident. That sequence of decisions, each made in apparent haste, produced exactly the outcome the company was trying to avoid. The Microslop episode is not in isolation a major corporate crisis. No product was recalled. No executive resigned. No regulatory body opened an investigation. In the grand sweep of Microsoft's business, a company generating hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue, this was a small incident. But it is a revealing one. And the reason it resonated so widely is that it served as a compressed symbol for something users had been feeling for a long time. The deeper frustration is about consent and respect. Users of Windows and Microsoft's productivity software had not been asked whether they wanted their operating system redesigned around AI. They had not voted on whether they wanted a Copilot button in Notepad. The features arrived with updates, often with limited opt-out mechanisms, and the company's messaging consistently framed these changes as something users should be grateful for. When users pushed back, and they did, loudly and consistently, the response from Microsoft executives was frequently to double down. When the Windows president announced the Agentic OS vision and was met with thousands of negative replies, he locked the replies on his post. Microsoft's AI CEO, commenting on widespread skepticism about AI tools, reportedly expressed that he did not understand how anyone could find AI disappointing. The company's communications team, when responding to concerns about the Copilot push, described features that users were calling unwanted as things the company had heard users wanted. "No, you heard wrong," came the reply from users online. Literally no one asked for all this AI. In fact, everyone wants to know how to remove it. That is the context in which Microslop emerged. It was not a random insult. It was a summary. And by trying to delete the summary, Microsoft confirmed everything the summary was saying. There are signs that the company has recognized this, at least partially. By late January 2026, reports emerged from sources familiar with Microsoft's internal plans that the company was reevaluating its AI strategy for Windows 11. Copilot integrations in apps like Notepad and Paint were reportedly under review for removal or significant scaling back. Work on adding new Copilot buttons to additional inbox applications had reportedly been paused. The Windows Recall feature, which had already been delayed once, was reportedly being internally reconsidered as well. Whether those adjustments will be sufficient to rebuild the trust that has eroded over the past 2 years is an open question. Skepticism remains high. Many users who commented on these reports described the shift as PR speak, a surface-level retreat that would not change the company's underlying direction. The tools would be rebranded, they predicted. The data collection would continue. The AI push would resume, just with different labels. But even the acknowledgement that something went wrong is a departure from the posture Microsoft had been projecting. And it took a lot of public pressure, including the spectacle of a failed word ban on a Discord server, to get there. Microsoft tried to erase a 9-letter nickname from one of its own community servers. The keyword filter failed within hours. Account bans escalated the conflict. The server lockdown turned a local moderation dispute into an international news story. The word microslop is now better known than it has ever been. Its meaning cemented by the very attempt to suppress it.